The UN, we did this. The UN plans to circumvent the Constitution and abolish all rights, private property, individual, gun, and parental. How many people know there's a treaty right now being disguised as a treaty for disability people?
Yes.
That is going to take parental rights away from parents over their children.
That's right.
It is devastating. You must be calling your senators, and I'm not proud of your senators. We thank God moved Isaacson off his butt on the Sea Treaty, but let me tell you, it took lots of phone calls and lots of emails. Do not think that phone calls and emails do not make a difference. Letters are great, but because you have to go through hazmat, it's already passed, so don't waste your time with letters. And by the way, guys, you can call other senators and representatives. All they ask for is a zip code. Go with my phone, I got Scumbucket Bill Nelson. I call up, he's a Democrat. I go to John McCain, I Google Phoenix, Arizona, and in my BlackBerry is a zip code from Phoenix. All I do is sit on the phone while I travel and go down all my senators. DeMint, Lindsey Graham, I have all the target jerks, not DeMint's a jerk, but Graham and McCain and Rubio is a jerk. And all these guys, and yes he is, Rubio is voting against the Constitution. He is a traitor to this country, and I helped put him in office and know him personally. And trust me, him and JR both know my name very well. Agenda 21 is summed into two words, control and inventory. Does that sound like the numbers tattooed on Jude's arms? Control and inventory. This thing that you just bought, T-Sploss, was your control and inventory. They must get you out of your cars and track you on buses and bicycles where you cannot go far. I am not kidding. On Agenda 21, in the list that I handed out, we will not be able to keep cars under Agenda 21. And I'll go over some of the legislation that they're doing that you're not even seeing. Okay, I used to teach on how and why to buy gold and silver, food storage, Constitution, and Agenda 21. 2 years ago, I was doing a Constitution meeting, and I had some Cuban Americans call me up the next day, Saturday morning, I was in Publix. They said, Vicky, I don't go by Vicky, it's Victoria or Tori, but my Cubans call me anything they want. And they said, we have got 200 people in 2 weeks and we need you to come speak on Agenda 21. Well, I was so honored and floored, I said, sure. Hung up the phone, went, what in the world's Agenda 21? And called Carrie Bracken, who had been sending me some emails, and she said, well, I'm sitting here right now trying to decide who to fly Dr. Kaufman, and she's in Tennessee to Florida. I said, who's that? She goes, he's the guy that saved all our private property. He's been fighting it for 20 years. I said, sign me up, we'll pay for him, pick him up. And we basically picked him up on Friday and held him hostage to Monday. And I had 5 days to learn it, shut down my business for 5 days, learned it, and presented it. And that's what kicked me off. Dr. Kaufman gave 20 years in his life to saving this country. And people have no idea what he has done, and I will go through that with you. But it is very, very important that we realize that this is not a tinfoil hat, that this is absolutely serious, and that people who want to put a tinfoil hat on you, it is their excuse to pretend that they can do nothing. And don't think I don't call them out on it. I look at them and say, you don't want to do nothing? That's fine. Do you have children and grandchildren? Because you're going to have their blood on your hands. Now that you know I've put you on notice, you cannot go back to sleep. And trust me, there are days I want to quit. And I get in the car and I say, I'm never doing this again. And I get up the next morning and I look at my sister's children and babies and I go, there's no way I'm quitting because I'm bleeding or breathing. And that's just the way I am. So, when I started talking on Agenda 21, if you've heard me before, this will be a little bit different. I realized that people don't even know the foundation of our country. So I've gone in and I'm going to go over the first few slides a little bit about my stuff with the Constitution, because if you don't understand how important something is and what it does, you can't protect it, okay? So we're going to talk about why we can take a country from capitalism to communism. There is a plan. There are 4 steps, and it's being done in our country right now, and they have completed 75% of the steps. The first step is limit natural resources. Restricting oil permits. Do you know that they are shutting down 50% of refineries on the East Coast? Do you know Chris Christie is doing it?
Yes.
Do you know Chris Christie is shutting down coal plants? Do you know Chris Christie is putting Muslim judges in court? If you think he's a patriot, you better think again. Shutting down coal plants, legislation, and fracking. Have you heard of fracking?
Yeah. Yes.
You can ask my JBSer over here. That is BS. That is make-believe science. Why? Because fracking is the most unbelievable technology that allows us to get oil and gas out of places that are very hard to get out of. Well, we can't have energy, and we can't have have natural resources, so you know what they do? They pull out Hollywood. George Clooney, who raised $15 million, if you don't think they're not in bed, George Clooney in 2010 joined the Council of Foreign Relations. Angelina Jolie's Council of Foreign Relations. If you don't understand Council of Foreign Relations, please buy $1. If you don't have $1, take it and learn what it is on the pamphlet back there called Council of Foreign Relations. It's why we vote Democrat, Republican, and nothing changes, and here we are talking about to lose our country. They brought out a guy named Fox, I forget his first name, and he did a movie called Gasland on the dangers of fracking. Well, I met a woman who came from Ireland. She got a visa. Her name is Ann. She owns fracknation.com. She raised money through the United States, and she is out in LA doing a documentary. I can't ever say that with my dyslexia. Documentary, and she is going to, it's called Frack Nation, and she's going to show how it's make-believe science. Well, 3 weeks ago, Matt Damon comes out on my fracking alert, and he's going to do a movie on the dangers of fracking. Guys, I'll go into Hunger Games, and I'll go into the Bourne Legacy that just came out as well. It is called predestinatory programming, and you can Google that, and I'll send you information of what they do through movies and TV shows. It's all there when you see it. Limit your rights to privacy, TSA. Okay, guys, we teach our children stranger danger. Now we've got strangers in our underpants. Do you really think that's about security? No. No, that's about breaking down. Now, people like us, I got a problem with it, and I don't fly, and that's why I drive. I'm not letting strangers touch my body without my permission. You know, we're teaching our children and our youth to stand there and let anybody invade their body, and that's okay. That's BS. That's ridiculous. That is taking away your rights to privacy. That's what the Patriot Act is. How many people understand that the Patriot took away our Fourth Amendment of right to search and seizures? That if a policeman, anybody, a detective, whatever, comes to your house and goes through your drawers, anything, takes whatever, and you're home and you're a husband or wife, you can't tell your spouse or you go to jail? Yeah. John McCain signed off on that. Paul Ryan wanted to extend it forever. Socialized medicine. Do I have to go into ObamaCare? Really? Okay. Abolish private property. All three of those steps have been done. We are on abolish private property, which is what Agenda 21 is. They use words and language. To let you know, I'm a linguist. I have a background in language and how it's used. I am a certified master on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro, the brain, linguistic, language, how it processes. Barack Obama uses NLP when he speaks to you. It is the basis that hypnosis is based on. The man that taught me, taught the CIA in Israel how to use NLP. Trust me when I say I listen to languages and I hear what they say. People don't hear the words and how they use them. Words, in the Bible it says, are our most powerful weapon. If we knew how to use words, we could shut this down. For example, I'm pro-choice. Really? You know what I say to somebody who tells me that? So you're pro-murder. Their heart stops. I said, you're pro-murder. And it's meditated. You make a date, you grab a friend, and you go. What is not premeditated about killing somebody? It is pro-murder. If we called it pro-murder, how long do you think they'd stand up and go, I'm pro-choice? Seriously, call it what it is, pro-murder. How does a country build wealth? Dr. Kaufman looked at me at dinner and he says, Victoria, how do you build wealth? I said, I have a job. He goes, really? How many people do you know have a job and have no wealth? Okay, so what's the deal? Private property builds wealth. You go out, you take it, buy a house, you get a home equity loan, you take that to build a business, you grow businesses, you sell that, you get a home equity loan, and you keep using property to establish your wealth. How many wealthy people do you know that don't own property? You can't find that. Property builds wealth. Do you know we are the only country in the world with defined private property rights supplied to us by the U.S. Constitution? Okay? How many people have known a wealthy person that's gone to another country, you know, Belize, Panama, you know, got their dream retirement home, and you see them 10 years later like, hey, Jack, how's it going? You got in Panama? Well, you know, I thought I had that property. Then I found out. You know, how many people have heard that story? That's because we're used to seeing a real estate sign, badge, and we can get property 30, 60 days with money and fund it. So what do? They see us coming. put out a real estate sign, they put on a badge, they have some paperwork, and my attorney sitting here in Panama. And guys, they don't have the rights to sell it. And we can't even comprehend all the legality because they don't own it, because we're so conditioned to understand private property rights. Now, this was done, and all you have to do is go back and put property, and I will send you the report by Dr. Kaufman that he did. It's an abstract of The Mystery of Capital by Hernando de Soto. He said that if every country in the world could access their private property and have laws set up like we do, are you ready for this? The dead capital, it's dead capital that can't be used, would be worth every stock exchange in the world. Guys, that's trillions of dollars. That's the FTSE, that's the DAX, that's the Russell, the Dow, the S&P, every one you can think of. Guys, that's trillions of dollars. Here's something that will blow you away, and I say this and I mean it. I can fix this country in 8 days. God took 7, I'm going to add 1. And I can fix the world in 8 months. Because I'll tell you what the secret is. Taking people like this and going out in the world and teaching private property. How many people remember, I'm 45, when Russia came down and we were all not communists and Putin took off his military uniform and put on a suit. So if I wore a pantsuit today, that'd make me a man? So all of a sudden he's not a communist because he puts on a suit? Really? And then we sent American businessmen, do you remember, over to teach them capitalism? I'm serious. How prosperous is Russia right now? They're not, because they didn't teach them private property rights. They taught them everything else. The state, the government, Russia, whatever you want to call it, kept all the rights to property. You can't build wealth without private property. Are you getting that?